All right, let's just start this sucker and see what happens. This is the Fringe. I'm Mike Berquist, the host. I recorded right now. It's Tuesday. I recorded a show on Sunday in which I covered all the hits. I talked about John McCain. I talked about Ellis Mania 15. There was a happy birthday. There was a rest in peace. Oh, all the fixins were there, but apparently my microphone disconnected in the last third of the show, and when I reconnected it, it was just the audio quality is horrendous, and I wasn't thrilled with my performance on that show either. So I guess in a weird way, this is sort of a blessing in disguise. Maybe I'll upload parts of that show at some point down the road or whatever, but I don't know. So this is going to be your official supplemental Fringe episode for this week. And then, of course, I'll record again later this week and keep putting shows out, hopefully on Tuesdays, because Tuesdays suck. And I know a lot of you are in office jobs and listen to podcasts and radio and all kinds of stuff like that throughout the day to help you get through it. So I figured Tuesday's a good day to put stuff out. And hopefully, starting this week, we can get back on that routine. This one will either be out tonight, Tuesday night, or sometime early on Wednesday, like Wednesday morning, which is fine too. Hump Day is also kind of a day. I mean, you're still in an office looking for audio content, so there's that. Wow, I'm getting texted already because no one knows I'm doing this. I'm just in the house. Let's see. Whatever. I'll just deal with it now. I'll just have to cut this part out later, as Chip Chipperson would say. Let me just handle this. Being asked about cinnamon Pop-Tarts. Do I still want them? Because I requested strawberry, but there's only cinnamon. I'm a man of simple tastes. I'll take a cinnamon Pop-Tart. And I'm probably going to keep all that dead air and silence in because this is real. I provide you real audio content. None of that polished nonsense that you get from people who want you to think that they're professional. Let's jump into the news, though. I'm probably only going to do an hour, maybe an hour and a half. We will see. So it's Tuesday right now. I don't have a birthday, don't have a death day for you. My birthday was yesterday, so I guess we'll do that for birthday. And death day, nobody died, which is great. Yeah, yesterday, pretty simple. I'm not a big fan of my own birthday, I guess, because my birthday is August 27th, and that was the day all my friends left to go to college every summer for 4 years minimum. So my birthday was always like a bittersweet kind of time, and it's just it's a weird time of year. I always get into kind of my mood starts to decrease as we get closer to fall, which is my least favorite season, I think. No, it'd probably have to be winter, but again, I digress. So yesterday went to the monastery up in Kent, New York, with the largest indoor Buddha statue in the Western Hemisphere. I'd been there once before, and so I went there for a second time with my dad. It was a great time, wonderful place. I love it there. And then after that, I don't remember. What else did I do for my birthday? There was cake at some point. Oh yes, watch the Chip Chipperson podcast, which I recommend everyone go and do. It was a pretty relaxed day. Nothing crazy. No partying or anything like that. So, yeah, that was this weekend. And then, yeah, I don't know what I'm going to be doing for the rest of the week. But right now, I'm going to be podcasting. Just thought I'd update you on where I'm at so that we're all, we're all on the same page. But let's see. I guess we got primaries and runoffs in Florida, Arizona, and Oklahoma today, according to NBC News. I hate. And here you go. I feel like a lot of my listeners their ears kick into gear when they hear me start to get into rant mode. I despise news organizations whose headlines include a question. And not just not a standard, regular one question that has to do with the thing. Here's an example of the kind of headline I'm talking about. 7 questions about today's primaries and runoffs in Florida, Arizona, and Oklahoma. I hate that. It should, first of all, I don't know. I don't have a solution. It just bugs me that it's clickbait. It's clickbait. Clickbait annoys me when it's coming from what is supposed to be a major news organization, NBC News. And then it's that. And the 7 questions, I'm sure, apply to relatively few people. We're not even going to look into it. Trump slams Google as rigged. Trump's NAFTA deal isn't worth the price. We're getting these from CNN and Bloomberg, respectively. Another bullying suicide. This time it's a 9-year-old because he came out as gay and his schoolmates bullied him. So that really has to stop. I talked about the bullying thing, I think, the last time I was on the air in the radio station. I'm at home right now, for anybody who doesn't know. Recording at home. If you hear little sound, I don't know if the microphone's picking it up. My dog is just walking around, sniffing around for food. Yeah. So the bullying thing, I've discussed this. I think I really did a good job with that last time. So check that out on YouTube or Mixcloud. Toyota just invested $500 million in Uber. That's interesting. Let's take a look at what this is. This is from money.cnn.com. Toyota invests $500 million in Uber. So, I hope that's not coming through. I am hearing an advertisement in my headphones. Okay, so the automaker announced on Monday that it is investing $500 million in Uber and working more closely with the company to accelerate the development and deployment of self-driving vehicles. Yeah, that's a good idea because self-driving vehicles aren't... Actually, no. Every time they did get into an accident, it was the other driver's fault, I think. Which means that these self-driving vehicles are only going to work if everyone has a self-driving vehicle. Because if there's still humans out there, they're still going to hit these things. We'll see. And I'm sure these cars are going to cost $1 gajillion each. Let's see, though. Uber plans to retrofit Toyota Sienna minivans with its autonomous technology and begin real-world testing in 2021. The deal gives Toyota a key partner in a field that is growing rapidly and comes on the same day that 4 of the automaker's suppliers announced a partnership to develop some of the software underpinning autonomous vehicles. So, let's see. Shigeki Tomoyama, the president of Toyota Connected Company, said in a statement, they decided to give me that same advertisement that bugs me every time I have to use CNN for this show. A picture of Anderson Cooper asking me if it wants them to summarize the news for me. No, CNN, I don't want your summaries of the news. You lie and you fabricate stories and you doctor audio and video in stories. I don't want you summarizing anything. You've proven time and time again you can't handle it. All right. Back to this. Let's see back to what Shigeki Tomoyama of Toyota Connected Company was saying. This agreement and investment marks an important milestone in our transformation to a mobility company. Not totally sure what that means. Again, buzzwords. I hate when people have to make statements on behalf of companies or figures or anything because there's nothing authentic or real about anything they're saying. It's a template. It's cookie cutter. There's absolutely no emotion or commitment behind any of the words they're saying. They're saying the things that they think people want to hear because they've been saying those same things for years successfully. And I don't know. I think it's time we all start seeing through that and start actually making a little bit of noise about it. So automakers and tech companies continue scrambling to position themselves for a future in which car ownership gives way to mobility as a service. That's led to a growing number of partnerships as companies like Toyota realize they don't know much about ride sharing, and companies like Uber discover that building cars is hard. So this is an interesting development there. It looks like Uber is strengthening itself, and I know Uber has kind of been on the the receiving end of some negative, legislation, so to speak, lately. particularly in New York City. I don't know if other major metropolitan areas are doing it, but New York City has limited the amount of Uber drivers that I think are legally allowed to work in New York City. And they did that on behalf of cab drivers. Anybody who wants a really sort of dead-on look at ride sharing versus traditional cabs and why people prefer Uber and Lyft and those kinds of things over cabs, watch the South Park episode Handy Car. It so perfectly shows why people like it more than cabs. But the city feels bad for the cab drivers because they had to spend $1 million on a medallion that allows them to be a cab driver, and now nobody wants to use cabs anymore. So it was $1 million for a piece of metal that doesn't mean anything anymore. So the city, trying to keep a dying industry alive, I don't think that's the government's job to keep dying industries alive. I've said it before. I'll say it again. I don't agree with Donald Trump's. This is one of the things I don't agree with Donald Trump on. So anybody who says that Trump supporters across the board support every single thing, no, not necessarily. I have my own thoughts. And one of those thoughts is that coal energy, do we really need too much of that anymore? I mean, I just saw Steven Pinker on Twitter retweet something or tweet a post to a Time Magazine article that I'm sure that this is not ready for any kind of commercial consumerism kind of a thing, but they just discovered that they can take solar energy and convert it to liquid fuel, which would be gigantic if they could get that for like cars and houses and stuff like that. That would be amazing. But coal? I don't think coal is an industry that needs to be revived by the government. Because, for starters, coal is a finite resource. And I have heard clean coal used quite a bit. But I am also familiar with the fact that people who used to mine for coal and people who used to shovel coal on trains, this is way back in the day, often had lung problems afterwards. So is coal the way to go forward? No, probably not. That was like a chief resource in the 1800s. We're in the 2000s now. It's maybe time to take a harder look at this sun juice, I'm going to call it. No, I'm not. I'm not going to call it that, actually. No, something about that sounds gross. I'm just going to call it liquid solar energy. There we go. That's my phrase. If you see that anywhere else, they took it from me. Let's see. We have a black snake moan moment in real life. Fox News reporting this. Mystery as woman in t-shirt and possibly shackles appears on Texas homeowner's doorstep. That's like, I think the plot of Black Snake Moan with Samuel L. Jackson and Christina Ricci from 15 years ago. So, all right. The woman rang the doorbell of a Sunrise Ranch subdivision home at around 3:20 a.m. Friday, according to the Montgomery County Sheriff's Office. The woman woke up the homeowner, but she was gone by the time the person answered the door. The resident, who wasn't immediately identified, reviewed the security footage and sent it to the sheriff's office. Since Montgomery County officials released the video on social media, numerous citizens around Texas have suggested that the woman could be a missing person from as far as Canada. From as far as Canada. Montgomery County Sheriff's Lieutenant Scott Spencer said. Officials have interviewed several residents in the neighborhood, according to the Chronicle. Spencer couldn't confirm whether there were, in fact, restraints around the woman's wrists and added, there's still a lot to be done. Wow, that is bizarre. And I guess I'll give this out. I don't know if anybody would know or this would be relevant to anybody, but it says anybody with information about the woman, call the sheriff's office at 936-760-5800 and refer to case number 18A243347. So if you have any information about this woman in Texas wearing a t-shirt and maybe broken shackles, give give those Texas sheriffs a call. Maybe she's here now. I mean, that was several days ago. Maybe she's in New York. But, here we go. North Korea tells U.S. denuclearization talks may fall apart. You didn't have to tell us that, North Korea. Your behavior spoke volumes. North Korea, there was always a pretty strong chance that they were going to try to do something sneaky, something a bit devious. Donald Trump goes over there. He speaks to them. He treats them as equals on the world stage. You're welcome, North Korea. We get something resembling a step towards world peace. And of course, the natural antagonists of planet Earth, North Korea, decide that they're not exactly going to play by the rules. So we'll see. We will see. Hopefully they can figure that out, but I don't know. Let's see. Oh, here's an update from 3 hours ago. A mysterious semi-clothed woman in wrist restraints filmed ringing doorbells in middle of night. So apparently it was a few different ones. You know, that could just be like a kid playing a joke. It's not a particularly funny joke. It's just odd. So let's look a little more into this. T-shirt, bare-legged, and walking without shoes. Unfastened wrist restraints hanging from her right arm. Let's see. The look on her face, she was being very quiet but looked distressed, said a neighbor who saw the footage. Another local said someone had rang his doorbell that night. I heard somebody who sounded like they were downstairs, but then by the time I got to the door, they were gone. I looked outside, but I didn't see anybody. So, she always disappeared before they had time to answer. That is really strange. What am I hearing right now? Oh, I think I'm hearing actual audio of those videos. Okay. Stupid headphones. So, that's bizarre. That's bizarre. It's not just the one home like that previous article told us. It is several now. Let's see. What else do we got here? Here's a strange story, but it's NBC News. Federal judges again rule North Carolina congressional map is unconstitutional, which is hilarious. It pretty much speaks for itself. Doesn't sound very interesting, all in all. Let's see here. I guess Donald Trump and Jeff Sessions are not on good terms. I didn't really know about that. Lindsey Graham says, though, that the relationship is beyond repair. So it looks like we're getting a new Attorney General sometime soon. Sorry, Kate McKinnon. I guess you'll have to do a character that maybe makes sense moving forward. But then again, Saturday Night Live is full of hacks, and we'll probably still be seeing plenty of Kate McKinnon, Jeff Sessions. And by we, I mean anybody who still watches that piece of trash that they call entertainment and comedy. So let's continue on. Theresa May breaks into dance in South Africa amid vow to up UK investment. All right, that's a good time to dance, I guess. That's good. We got local news, which I don't understand why local news is here. Alert issued for Ridgefield 25-year-old believed to be in New York. That dude's face looks very familiar. Let me just take a look here, make sure, because now I feel like because I said that out loud, if I do know him, I need to say something. His name is Joseph Bonastali. No, I don't know this dude. All right, good. So I am no longer responsible for contacting the police. Hooray! I do not have to do my civil duties. So, okay, this is odd. Here we go. Here's a little business news for you. This is a wacky day. I'm kind of glad that the other show had to be trashed because the stories today, top notch. The other day, I was a little out of it. The stories were all about the Catholic Church and John McCain. Wasn't much for a broadcaster to do that day. But today, we're looking at usatoday.com. And on Tuesday, which is this day, Missouri became the first state in the country to have a law on the books that prohibits anyone, that's right, food makers from using the word meat to refer to anything other than animal flesh. Which, I mean, is kind of common sense. I don't know if it requires a law. That's odd. So this takes aim at manufacturers of what has been dubbed fake or non-traditional meat. Clean meat, also known as lab-grown meat, that sounds disgusting, is made of cultured animal tissue cells, while plant-based meat is generally from ingredients such as soy, tempeh, I don't know how to pronounce that, and seitan? Seitan? S-E-I-T-A-N? Is that what vegetarians are eating? Satan? The law forbids misrepresenting a product as meat that is not derived from harvested production livestock or poultry. Violators may be fined $1,000 and imprisoned for a year. That's extreme. But let's see, a similar argument is unfolding on the federal level. The meat substitute market is expected to reach $7.5 billion plus globally by 2025, up from close to $4.2 billion last year, according to Allied Market Research. So, yeah, this is weird. They really, you know what? If the Midwest, they value their meat. If you're going to call something that's not meat, you're in trouble. You're in a year's worth of prison amount of trouble. So there's that. There you go. Good on you, Missouri. Really taking those vegetarians down a peg. Them who eat Satan. I don't know. They spell it funny, but I think we all know what they're doing. So, moving on. Chipotle launches delivery service with DoorDash. I thought that Chipotle delivered for sure. I've actually never eaten there before because I only hear horror stories. I hear it tastes good, but the after effects, sort of the pushing the waste out, which I tried to clean up the language, but I think I made it sound equally disgusting as saying pooping. But pooping is hilarious. That's a hilarious phrase. And anyways, yeah, Chipotle. Wow, I got caught up in some kind of weird loop of poop and its synonyms. But we'll move past that now. But yeah, Chipotle has a reputation of creating, let's call it abdominal distress. Sorry, just taking a drink of my energy drink. Yes, I have energy drinks at home sometimes. What of it? Moving along. Ooh, excuse me. Okay, what else we got here? A lot of stuff about Apple and Samsung and Google, and its headlines are just abysmal. This is interesting. I saw this morning, and when I woke up, and then I went back to sleep and forgot. So, as much as I loathe Pitchfork and their readers and subscribers and all of those hipsters who congregate at this particular website, pitchfork.com, I got to go with it because I got the article. Louis C.K. Everybody remember Louis C.K.? He was showing people his genitals and then playing with them, and no one wanted to watch. But he didn't care. He wanted them to watch. But this was many years ago. He had since apologized to many of those people. It had become the least best kept secret. It's the worst, I guess, is a good word for least best. The worst kept secret in the comedy world was that Louis C.K. had a bit of a history of sexual deviancy. So, you know, if you listen to a lot of the comedy radio shows like the Opie and Anthony type back in, I don't know, years ago, before the Me Too thing started, hashtag Me Too, excuse me. I forgot the thing that makes it a social media go-to. But, yeah, listening to old comedy broadcasts, stuff like that, they would make little references here and there, but nobody ever really knew for sure. And then when the hashtag Me Too thing started, Louis C.K. was thrown completely under the bus for something that occurred many years ago and was completely misrepresented by the media, most of the comedy world, and comedians who are funny are behind Louis C.K. They're standing with him. Hack comedians, comedians who call themselves comedians and then don't do comedy, looking at you, Nanette, on Netflix, and open micers who, I think they all, it seems like from what I hear, open micers tend to see themselves as more important than they really are in the grand scheme. But all of those people, the ones who don't necessarily matter all that much in the comedy world, they're the ones who are against Louis C.K. right now. I, for one, am a person who tries to separate the person from the work. It's difficult a lot of the time. Not there yet with Bill Cosby. Nope, not there with him. But Woody Allen, Roman Polanski, they're Louis C.K., they make great work. You got to appreciate the work, and maybe the people are creeps. Maybe that's, for real. But, at least Louis C.K., I don't think actually touched anyone, which is, I guess, a plus for him. But I don't know. I'm not trying to defend sexual assault right now. I know it's coming across that way. I just love Louis C.K. And I'm caught up in that weird bias of trying to sort of look at this in a good way, but also still battling with my respect and love for the work that Louis C.K. does. I don't know Louis C.K. as a person, as a man. I'm not particularly interested in his actual life and that kind of stuff. So it is the work. It's his comedy and his movies and his TV shows. I love all of that stuff. I think it's some of the more brilliant stuff that's been done in recent memory. So I don't want us to forget that stuff. It's like the Michael Che made a joke on Saturday Night Live years ago when he was, he's still doing. He's now co-head writer with Colin Jost. But on Weekend Update, around when this happened, he was saying that, in particular, Bill Cosby, when the Bill Cosby thing was kind of happening, he was saying, he's like, Bill Cosby is not, he played Cliff Huxtable. He's like, I love the Cosby Show. I love Cliff Huxtable. He would never hurt anybody. All he wants to do is, have a hoagie in the middle of the night and he's just a good man. Cliff Huxtable, not Bill Cosby. So he goes, so can I forgive Cliff Huxtable? He goes, I don't know. I forgave Kramer, and that was a pretty good joke. So, but it's that exact idea that I was just talking about separating the work and the characters from the actual man. I don't care about the actual man. The actual Louis C.K. man, I don't care about. The work I love. So I was interested to hear that he performed his first stand-up set since this scandal hit. And apparently his set did not reference the accusations. So after 10 months of disappearing from public view, and he admitted to the sexual misconduct accusations. He stood up and said, yes, I did those things and did not lie about it. So, according to the New York Times, the comedian delivered a set of typical Louis C.K. stuff without referencing the scandal. Oh, wait, no. Never mind. This was not New York Times. That was Noam from the Comedy Cellar. He's the owner. And so he said it was typical Louis C.K. stuff. And then he also told the Times that Louis C.K. received an ovation before his surprise set began. And he only received one complaint from an audience member who wished he had known in advance so he could have decided whether to have been there. The long-rumored allegations against Louis C.K. reemerged last November. 5 women described instances of him masturbating in front of them. And then they pulled his movie from release. And in a statement, C.K. admitted to the stories and said, there's nothing about this that I forgive myself for. Some of the women who came forward with the allegations described ongoing personal and professional repercussions. The comedian Rebecca Corey wrote for Vulture, I've experienced vicious and swift backlash from women and men in and out of the comedy community. I've received death threats, been berated, judged, ridiculed, dismissed, shamed, and attacked. Now, none of that, I would say, is Louis C.K.'s fault. The backlash from people in and out of the comedy community, that's not... Louis doesn't have control over those people. I mean, you don't have control over... I mean, unless you're literally calling for your fans to harass people or incite violence. Looking at you, Leslie Jones on Twitter, who somehow is immune from consequences because she aligns with the correct political party. According to Jack Dorsey on Twitter, that idiot. I digress. I forgot what I was even going with this. But I think it is, if you're not telling your fans to go out and do something, and even if you're not, like, I know you can imply things and be a little coy and kind of give yourself benefit of the doubt, but Louis, I doubt very highly that happened. I mean, he disappeared. He said he doesn't forgive himself for it. You know, he took the credit for this happening. So it's not a guy who's going to be like, oh, anybody who's speaking out against me, go get him. That wouldn't make sense. It completely contradicts his behavior throughout the entire thing. So it is nice that he's starting to get back out there, Louis. What he did is pretty bad. But, I mean, he seems genuinely like, is repentant the right word? Repentant for what he did. And it was a very, very long time ago. Not that the statute of limitations thing necessarily even makes sense. If you commit a crime, you should always kind of be, I guess, responsible for that crime. So, but like I don't know. Let's just move along. So Eddie Murphy is about to become a dad for the 10th time, according to Huffington Post. Sports. We got sports stuff. I don't know what my bookie is, but I used to hear, listening to podcasts, I used to hear reads for something called betdsi.com. And I'm not hearing anything from BetDSI anymore. I'm now starting to hear about this betting website called MyBookie. And I don't know why that is. I also don't care enough to look into sort of the nuances of the internet sports betting industry. I don't care about that. I don't know who's a part of it, who's competing with who, which one people prefer. I'm not a sports bettor. I typically don't win any kind of a gambling thing based on the one time I went to Mohegan Sun and gambled. I lost $300 on, I think, mostly blackjack. Yep, there's nothing like having a dealer that's doing good, and then the dealer all of a sudden starts giving you bad cards. And then you have to hate the person who had just become your friend moments later is your mortal enemy. I don't care for that kind of dynamic in my life, the gambling dynamic. So, yeah, it's just, gambling is not for me. It's one of the vices that I'm like, I don't know. I've tried it, and it's like, I don't care about this. So, what else we got here? Science news. Science. Yeesh. Stunning fossils show ancient parasitic wasps are still inside their unfortunate hosts. So you're finding a fossil of a parasite inside of the fossil of its host. So it was parasitic to the end and beyond. That is unfortunate. I guess it makes sense. Let's see. Ooh. This is news from today. Health news. And it's cool health news. Scientists have found a new type of brain cell, and it looks like it's unique to humans. This is from ScienceAlert.com. It's called the rose hip neuron. It's compact, bushy, and responsible for telling other neurons to shush. Beyond that, nobody's entirely sure what a newly discovered variety of brain cell called a rose hip neuron does. Ooh, excuse me. What makes this finding particularly intriguing is that so far the neuron has only been discovered in humans. That could quickly change now that we know what to look for in other species, of course, but for now it's a reason to pause and rethink how we apply animal models in neurology. So that is very interesting. I also like that there's a brain cell that is just the librarian of the brain. Because if you think about it, the brain is sort of a library. And I guess, I don't know. My analogy is going to fall apart because I do not remember enough of what I learned in I'm trying to remember what even the sort of branch of psychology it was. Like the physical parts of the brain, that kind of thing. I don't remember a lot of those terms. So, but I still like that if all the cells start moving around a little too much, doing too much stuff, there's one that just goes, hey, everybody shut up, and gets everybody back quiet, normal again. It's the teacher. It's the librarian. It's the authority figure brain cell. That's very interesting. So, yeah, that looks like that's going to take us through Google News. What I'm going to do right now, because we are, just about halfway through what I'm going to do here, I'm going to leave a pause here, and I'm going to insert a live read that I did last week that the radio station seemed to appreciate. So I guess I'll do that again. It's for our membership drive at the radio station. So without further ado, take it away, me. Get us some of that sweet, sweet cash.
Basically, WPWL's annual membership drive is underway. Please donate so we can continue to bring you great programming and information. Go to paulingpublicradio.org for more information on how you can do that. So, yeah, it's our membership drive. If you could donate, that would be incredibly lovely. As I said earlier in the other read for Miss Skadeski's Paint and Sip Party, Part 6, we are a 501c3 organization, which means not for profit. So, membership, it kind of helps the station continue to run. Think about how important this station is. In a land of nonsense and just generic audio content coming from everywhere you look. I wish I didn't say look there, because I'm talking about ears. Yeah, with all of that, our station stands like a beacon amidst all that crap. Because we're an independent station. We're beholden to none. We can do, this show is evidence. We can talk about whatever we want within FCC guidelines without getting too cheeky. But yeah, and it's all because we're a not-for-profit that we can do this. And because we can do this, we can actually speak honestly and openly to the listeners and provide you with content that you're absolutely not going to get anywhere else. You're just not. So your membership really does matter. It's a tax-deductible membership also if you're looking to deduct from your taxes, I suppose. And we provide entertainment for not only Pauling, but the lower Harlem Valley. Our tower is up, our range, it goes out there. There are a lot of people. So, it says here on the card, timely information, educational outreach, wide variety of music, and emergency announcements. But that is just the basics. We have, I don't even know how many shows we have at this station. It's gotta be close to 40. No. 40? I don't know. It's a bunch. We have a lot of contributors, though. Yeah, it's not stuff you're going to get anywhere else. So please help us survive. It's important that you do that, even just from a ideological standpoint. It's important to support the independent businesses. It's very important to do that because when they go away, everyone is the worse off for it. So again, paulingpublicradio.org. If you can donate, please do. The information is up there. Click on Support Us, I believe, at the top of our page. Yep, there it is, Support Us. And then you can donate right there through PayPal or credit, I believe. But yeah, so that would be wonderful, everyone, because, of course, it is our annual membership drive.
All right, I'm back. Thanks, me. That was great. I already hear the cash register noises. I already have dollar signs for irises. Mission accomplished. I've become a greedy cartoon. Okay, let's get to Reddit news now. And for anybody who doesn't realize by now, I'm not doing music today because I'm doing this from home. This is not a radio station sort of project. This is not backed by them in any way necessarily. So I don't have their rights to broadcast music. I don't have the rights to the music like the station does because I'm doing this from home and I own my show outright. So I don't get those benefits. So there's no music. No music today. I did see on YouTube, because I'm now a YouTube creator. That's right. If you want to list me as one of your heroes moving forward on any kind of survey you take, feel free. But now that I'm a YouTube creator, I have access to this library of just royalty-free music. I'm sure it all sounds like royalty-free music also. And I hope you all know what I mean by that. By that I mean not quite the good stuff. And but I could use that now for projects moving forward, but I am not doing that today. We're already more than halfway through the show, and I'm going just to continue here. So let's see what's going on in the Reddit news. We got the hot news. We got the new news. Let's go with the new news. Yikes. This is bad stuff already. Update. 2 Kansas sheriff's deputies shot in Jewel County, Colorado. I don't know what this is. Suspect shot himself. I am so tired of these stories. I've become pretty anti-gun, I think, for the most part. It hits a point where, and it's really only since I started doing this show, where I have to look at the news, and every day I have to see like the body count of who was shot throughout the country, and it's normally passersby or children or police officers or unarmed people. It's always something bad, and it takes a toll after a while where you just go, what the hell are we doing? The guns thing is not working. I mean, the NRA and the government have had since 1999, at least when Columbine happened, to figure out some kind of comprehensive gun reform that works and prevents these kinds of things from happening. It's now 2018. It's almost, let's see, 1990. What would that be? 30 years? 20 years? 20 years, I think. Yeah. It's almost 20 years later now. And what do we have to show for it? What's changed? Because from where I'm sitting, it's just gotten worse. So what's the answer? You've had 20 years, gun people, to figure something out. You've done nothing. You sat on your hands. Maybe it's time to get rid of the guns and see what happens. Maybe. How about a trial period? How about 1 year, no guns? 1 year, no guns. We see how it goes. If it doesn't work, you have your guns back. If it does work, well, we keep it going. How about that? A trial. This is the United States. It's a country based on experimentation. We are the great experiment, are we not? The United States? We're the melting pot. We're where every other part of the world comes to live in this. We're the reality TV of the world. Because we take people from all these different walks of life and we put them in the same house. America is the big brother house of the earth. So why not? Why not try out something and see how it goes? Other countries have had success. Let's try it. I'm not saying it's the absolute way to go. But again, I'll say it again. No guns for a year, and we'll see. We'll see. What's the worst that could happen? You don't get to shoot something? I don't know. Crime could go up. We have no idea. So let's try it. That's my solution. No guns for a year, and we see what happens. I'll tweet to Donald Trump. I'll see if we can get him on board. Out of all the presidents, I was just talking about this yesterday. Out of all the presidents, I feel like if you, because you know like how children and stuff would write letters to the president, you know, for like a school classroom activity or something, and then they like mail them away maybe, and sometimes you get like a postcard from the Capitol or whatever. And I think I just made that up entirely because I've never done anything like that as far as I remember. So, but I feel like out of all the presidents, the one that would actually respond to you personally and think about what it is that you said would be Donald Trump. Because he's that kind of guy. He's made it very clear from day one that, I was just talking about this yesterday with my dad, that Trump is, he's an interesting guy because he is so ego-driven, but right now his ego is in line with the needs of the American people. It just happened to line up that way. Because Donald Trump, I don't think, necessarily cares about everyone being happy across the board. I think if you really want to paint him as the sociopath that the left believe he is, the job of the president is to get certain things done and to make America the best. And I think Donald Trump, more than anything else, more than any kind of ideological standpoint or anything like that, wants to be the best at the job he's supposed to do so that he can say, none of those other presidents were able to do what I did. It just happens that this amount of energy he's putting into topping former leaders also happens to be pointed in the right direction. Like, it lines up, it just happens to line up with at least what half the country wants. So I don't remember why I brought that up. Oh, yes, I do. I feel like, as I was thinking about it, about sort of the Chinese occupation of Tibet yesterday, because I was at the monastery, and I am a gajillion % against the Chinese occupation of Tibet, against the massacre of Buddhists, against driving the Dalai Lama from his home and into India. Very treacherous crossings to get from Tibet to India, where there would be safe haven. And the Chinese paid zero consequence for that. As far as I know, I don't know the specifics of when it happened. Maybe sanctions were put out there, but I don't know. It's something that you don't hear enough about anymore these days. Free Tibet used to be a punchline sometimes, sort of in the late 90s, early 2000s, and you just don't hear about it anymore. It's still a thing. And I feel like if people were to write to Donald Trump like, hey, while you're sort of smacking China around with all these trade things, why don't you include Tibet in the thing? Because I feel like Donald Trump, out of all the presidents, would be the one who would be like, hey, you're going to free Tibet or we're going to just shut down China altogether. We're not doing anything with you anymore. He's that kind of a guy, I think. So it would be interesting. So maybe I'll also write to him about this gun stuff. Why not? Why not try it, right? What's the worst that can happen? You get no response? There you go. What do we got here? Golden Doodle spends 2 weeks solo in Colorado mountains after fatal car crash. That just sounds incredibly depressing. So, oh good, our military is building more weapons. Army builds new self-propelled howitzer cannon. It will hit 43.5 miles. That's an insane distance. But I don't know. I hate that. I hate that we're still building new weapons. It's time to everyone. I don't know. I'm tired of it. I'm getting a little gassed out here. 45 minutes in. Okay, so what else do we got? Headless corpse found in fish tank in San Francisco. Archdiocese of Washington denies it was warned about sanctions against Cardinal. Vatican erases Pope's remarks about psychiatric help for gay children. That's the definition of cover-up. Also, speaking of cover-up, BuzzFeed had an article that went out yesterday, I believe, and it was making the rounds on Twitter. I don't know if people are still paying attention to it. That there is a weird hidden history for even more controversy with the Catholic Church. That there were orphanages in the 40s, I believe, in the 50s, that would take in millions of children every year, and not all of them lived through it. The one story that they tell towards the beginning of the article is a nun throwing a boy through a glass window 4 stories up. He hits the ground, bounces a bit, and dies on the pavement. The girl who saw this happen was walking with one of the nuns, holding her hand, and was saying, like, what's going on? The nun grabs her by the ear, turns her around, and says, you have an active imagination. We're going to have to do something about you. Or what are we going to do about you? So, it's not looking good for the Catholic Church right now. Between the nuns saying that there's abuse towards them, between people who were part of those orphanages years ago saying that the nuns were abusive towards them, or the other children saying the priests were abusive towards them. It is really not good right now to be a ranking member of the Catholic Church. Just from a lawsuit standpoint alone, it's bad. You do have to feel bad for the. Hold on one sec. Hold on, let me pause for just a moment. Sorry about that, everybody. I am back now. What I was saying was I feel bad for the members of the church who do the right thing, who understand that it is not a business or a place to abuse power, and that it is a spiritual thing, and it's supposed to spread the word and help people with their lives. I feel bad for those people because they're inevitably going to be lumped in with everybody else. It's that few bad apples thing, even though quite a few of the apples are bad in this particular instance. It's the same thing with any minority group or police officers or anything, you hear about the negative elements of these groups, but they're not necessarily representative of the group as a whole. And that's always dangerous. And it does feel like, because journalists are lazy and the news is lazy, and whoever started the thing with the church recently got traction with it. And so I'm sure editors the world across have told their reporters, the church is the story right now. Get to digging. Find something, because that's the target we're all going after right now. So it sucks, but they're hacks. Journalists are hacks. They're bad. They're not good. They've forgotten what it is to be a journalist, what it means to take part in that industry, and they don't care. They don't care, and they don't care because there are no consequences for it. Yeah. Again, off on a tangent. Not totally sure where I was headed with it, but yeah. All right, so let me see what else is in the Reddit news. 3D printed gun blueprints ban extended. That's stupid, because there are so many different parts of a gun that you can't just 3D print a gun and have it be a working gun. It doesn't work like that. You have to print out all the different pieces, assemble it, and everything. It might not even work after that. It's not. It is something to be watching right now. The 3D printed gun stuff. It's important to watch that, but it's a little early to be panicking over it. So, let's see. What else we got here? Here we go. This sounds like somebody's dumb on one end or the other of this story. ABC7news.com. San Jose family billed $13,470 for half an hour of iPhone internet. I hope that didn't come through the microphone. But San Francisco. When you travel overseas, you want to make sure you won't run up exorbitant fees on your smartphone. A San Jose family thought they were protected from roaming and internet charges. It's like, whoa, what's going on? Vivian Chung of San Jose said, still reeling from the shock. She and her children had just returned from an annual family reunion. Okay. I already paused that. I don't know why I was ignored. ABC7 News. I'm now an enemy of them. Or they're an enemy of me. I don't know. I don't care. I'm just saying things now just to say them. Let's continue. Vivian Chung and her children had just returned from an annual family reunion in Vietnam. Relatives from many countries gathered on an island off the southern coast, celebrated her mother's 84th birthday, and frolicked on the white sand beaches. They returned home to San Jose brimming with good spirits until a jarring discovery sent them crashing down to earth. We know we cannot use the phone, and it's always on airplane mode, Chung said. How could this happen? It did happen. T-Mobile charged Chung $13,470 for internet access on her son Nicholas's iPhone. The charges were all incurred in a very short period while their flight was coming in over Vietnam. Chung estimates they racked up the charge in just 1/2 hour. It cost more than the trip, she said. So, Nicholas got in lots of trouble with his parents, but insists he never used internet on his phone, which means he was probably watching porn on his phone. So, let's see. I was confused and scared, Nicholas said, because $13,000 is a lot of money. I was like, what? I didn't do anything. Nicholas said he switched his phone into airplane mode for the entire trip just to avoid these kinds of charges. I know for a fact when you're on airplane mode, you cannot have internet access, he said. And that is true. He does admit he was playing games on his iPhone during the flight, but only offline games that do not need internet to play. Okay, so he demonstrates the whole thing. And then they called T-Mobile. T-Mobile said Nicholas must have downloaded a movie or music or something. He didn't, but T-Mobile agreed to reduce the bill to just about $3,800. Still, the family thought any charges were unfair. And then, yeah, that is unfair. If they didn't do anything, saying, all right, we won't charge you $13,000 for doing nothing. We'll only charge you $3,800 for doing nothing. I despise these major technology companies. They're soulless. So we didn't want to pay for something we didn't use, Chung said. We didn't know where to go, but we watch Channel 7 News every night, and I know about Michael Finney, so we decided to call because we really needed your help. All right, so she contacted 7 on Your Side. Let's see. The team contacted T-Mobile, asking how the phone could rack up internet fees when it was on airplane mode. The company did not provide an explanation except to say that Vietnam was not included in the T-Mobile free roaming plan, though it is now. When ABC7 looked into the matter, they found that many mobile apps that don't require an internet connection still use data. Users may not even realize it, but the apps operate in the background, silently gobbling data for purposes such as updating software, refreshing social media, and sending ads. Nicholas realized his chess game is one of those apps and run data in the background, which likely explains the huge bill. So, however, after ABC7 contacted T-Mobile, the company agreed to cancel out the remaining charges on the bill, saying, and here we go, ready for the polished press release that obviously did not come from an actual human with feelings? Here it is. Customers on T-Mobile One or Simple Choice North America plans have unlimited text and data, as well as low-rate calling, in more than 210 countries and destinations around the world with Simple Global. However, T-Mobile recommends before a trip, customers who are traveling internationally either call customer care or check international roaming coverage and rates online. Vivian was ecstatic. We were just like, yes, wow, 7 on your side, she said. I was so glad you were here to help all of us, a lot of people like me. And really, really, thank you so much. And then concludes here. So how can you stop apps from using data in the background? With an iPhone, go to Settings, look under Cellular Data, switch data use to the off position. Similar for Android phones. And go to Settings, find the app that's using the data, tap it to and enable restrict background data. So, wow. Yeah, that's something. And by the way, any company that uses your data so that they can send advertisements to your phone, I can't think of an adequate punishment for that. But it's got to be something harsh. Because how invasive, how sneaky and invasive. We're already charged enormous amounts of money to use a phone. And then on top of that, they try to capitalize more by pumping advertisements into that phone. That makes me furious. But this is the kind of stuff that's allowed to happen in America in 2018. We're not a democracy. We're a country run by elected officials who, as soon as they are elected, forget that they're elected officials and begin doing anything they can for self-preservation. So we've got self-preserving political figures and major corporations that are too big to fail. We all remember that fun phrase. Basically calling the shots, doing whatever they want because they give money to those self-serving politicians. And then they say, oh, well, my voters didn't give me money, but this major company gave me money. I guess I'll do what the major company wants and not the people. So I'm a little disgusted. I'm a little disillusioned. So, oh, here's good. AT&T looks like it's going belly up. They're liquidating us. AT&T continues layoffs and outsourcing despite profits. Okay, you know what? No, because now it just sounds like it's more greed. I'm done with this. Let's move on. I want to end at least end on a happy story here, right? How about this one? This is a good one. Oh, this is a great one actually, and this is kind of like me sort of prematurely celebrating about what I was just talking about. Perfect. DSLreports.com. Comcast cord cutting losses to more than double in 2018. So, Comcast's resilience to the cord-cutting phenomenon may not last forever. Comcast has been able to buck the cord-cutting trend so far thanks to its growing monopoly over broadband. With many telcos giving up on residential broadband and refusing to upgrade their networks at any real scale, companies like Comcast are increasingly seeing no competition in broadband. When frustrated DSL users switch to Comcast, they then sign up for cable TV bundles because standalone broadband is prohibitively expensive. As a result, Comcast cord-cutting losses have tended to be worse than other cable providers, especially satellite TV operators like Dish and DirecTV. So it looks like, what do we got here? Yeah, we now expect Comcast to lose 400,000 video subscribers in 2018. Previous estimate negative 320,000. That's a weird statement. And video revenue will fall 1.4%, which just means they're going to lay off lower level people so that the CEOs and the top people can have a paycheck that is still far too high. UBS analyst John Hodelick said in a research note, that was his quote. Okay. And I'm also not saying that I don't like the company because they're wealthy and they have money. I wouldn't care if a company was wealthy and had money if they were providing a service that was helpful or good for the people, or they were responsive to the people, or they weren't just greedy pricks. But that's Comcast, and I hate Comcast. So I'm happy about this. So when I say they have too much money, I just mean for what they do, they have too much money. It doesn't make sense that they should have that much money because their product is abysmal. So that's where I'm coming from. I'm not falling into that socialist trend that seems to have gripped at least the Democratic Party as of late, because that bizarre young woman from, where is she from? That Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez woman who looks absolutely frightening whenever she gets excited. I could say what she looks like, but it would be way too mean. So I guess I'll just hold my tongue with that. I'll say it to my close friends, not near a microphone. Yeah. So anyways, I'm very happy Comcast is... It seems like they're falling a little bit because of this cord-cutting phenomenon. So let's see. As a result, Comcast stock price this week is hovering around a 52-week low point, thanks to both these renewed projections on Wall Street and concerns about the debt load and logistical challenges surrounding Comcast's $31 billion proposed acquisition of UK TV giant Sky. I didn't know Comcast was trying to buy Sky TV. That's weird. So I guess that's a nice enough story to end the show on. A tech giant who is terrible, plummeting. So anyways, thank you all for listening. I'll put this up as soon as I can. And I'll do another one next week for all of you until we're back live at the actual radio station. So thank you all for listening. And yeah, stay tuned for more audio content. Peace.